What's going on, FUD Nation, and welcome back, and hello to any and all new viewers. As usual, I'm Elio Trades, and you're watching FUD TV. Today is an absolutely historic day in the life of cryptocurrencies, as we see discussion of not only Bitcoin, but all cryptocurrencies, namely the Libra project created by Facebook, being discussed on Capitol Hill as a potential threat to the current monetary system. Now, despite any of the negative and foul language we're hearing being used to slander the cryptocurrency industry or Bitcoin itself or any other crypto that is in existence, what we have currently is an amazing national debate on the highest level of government about the validity and really the potential of cryptocurrency. We're going to take some segments out of this debate. Obviously, there have been hours and hours of discussion, so we're just going to take some small segments that I find very, very pertinent to our lives as cryptocurrency enthusiasts, investors, and advocates. I think that you will very much enjoy. If you haven't already seen some of these clips, I consider this complete and total validation of the entire cryptocurrency industry, all of the struggles and the growing pains it's gone through, and very much so, I consider this an extremely bullish indicator for the future of crypto. So let's have a look. I'll be stopping and breaking down some of the comments along the way, but just know that this is a very, very important day in the life of cryptocurrency.
Here's just one of my favorite headlines, which asks, is Facebook forming a crypto mafia as Libra Foundation members boost each other's businesses? Washington must go beyond the hype and ensure that it's not the place where innovation goes to die. Just because we may not fully understand a new technology proposal does not mean we should immediately call for its prohibition, especially when that proposal is just that, a proposal. But let's face it, let's be honest. It's Facebook. And I'm skeptical, but we can either make you a political talking point or we can choose to conduct thoughtful governmental oversight. That's my hope for this day, is its thoughtful government oversight.
Now, honestly, just in that first sentence, there's a lot to unpack there. And yes, Representative Patrick McHenry is by no means the most antagonistic against cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. In fact, he was extremely positive, making the opening statement, trying to set a tone of positivity and open-mindedness for the whole hearing, which is why I think it's so absolutely important to highlight what he had to say, as he's really on the side of cryptocurrency and innovation and not sort of squashing this whole project before it begins. He also has a good point. This is Facebook. And no matter how staunch of a cryptocurrency advocate you are, you must be aware that Facebook is probably not the most ideal company to be forming this decentralized new monetary system. In fact, they might very well be the worst in terms of privacy, respecting privacy, and respecting just autonomy and decentralization. They're one of the biggest proponents of internet centralization in many ways. So for a lot of reasons, I could see why people are very much so upset about Facebook being the one to take this lead. But to be fair, this isn't even Facebook taking the lead. The lead has been taken for 10 years by cryptocurrency innovators. And now Facebook is simply, in my mind, hopping on the train in a very, simple and what I think of as very rational way by forming a payment system to fit within their ecosystem. Now, does this mean that we should all start putting our money in Facebook's Libra instead of Bitcoin? Don't get carried away. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, if you've seen my original video on Facebook and their Libra project, you'll know that I believe that the Libra token, regardless of what it does or doesn't do for decentralization, I think it will bolster the amount of people who have access to Bitcoin through what I would only assume as a very user-friendly and high-quality wallet. And I think Facebook might very well be a catalyst for a whole new generation, potentially almost the vast majority of young people getting involved with using, possessing, and managing crypto assets. So while Libra may in fact present a lot of complications in the realms of privacy and decentralization, I believe that on the whole, if you're strengthening the Bitcoin ecosystem, if you're strengthening and broadening the Bitcoin network, then you are actually doing more for decentralization than you are stopping decentralization. I think someone who actually really highlights this in a great way was Eric Voorhees when he had a tweet storm about the initial release of the Facebook Libra white paper. If you don't know Eric Voorhees, he's one of the most original Bitcoin advocates and the CEO of Shapeshift. First, zoom out a second and realize how far this industry has come. The biggest companies in the world are now launching cryptocurrencies. Boom. Again, This is one of my biggest points, is whether you hate Facebook or love Facebook, it doesn't matter. The fact that at this scale, cryptocurrencies are being recognized for their utility and value is the biggest win you could ever ask for this entire industry. Now, does that mean that you have to abandon your favorite cryptos or that the Bitcoin dream is dead? I don't think so. Let's move on here. It's not a cryptocurrency, some will yell. Well, yes and no. Relative to PayPal or the US dollar, Libra is very much a cryptocurrency. Relative to Bitcoin or Zcash or DAI, Libra is not all that crypto-y. Libra deserves nuanced analysis. It is neither great nor horrendous. This brings up an important point too often missed in discussions of crypto. Digital assets and blockchains have many attributes. Optimizing for certain ones can detract from others, and that's okay. Yes, this is why we created this channel here on FUD TV, is to bring more interest into the nuances of cryptocurrencies and why, for example, this coin differs from that coin and why they can both be successful and different at the same time, and that's okay. Lots of blockchain projects will be created and played with while the world rebuilds the financial system upon this new technology. Different assets will serve different markets at different times in different ways. Libra will serve the mass market and will be the single largest bridge toward decentralized finance that has ever been built. Prior to this, the largest bridge was Coinbase, which has played an integral role in crypto's rise. The good, Libra is built on an actual blockchain. Next, Libra made a great decision not to back itself solely with USD. Libra has the potential and current plan to go from a little decentralized to one day moderate decentralized within a few years of launch. Again, pausing from this reading, I don't necessarily trust that Facebook will decentralize Libra to a very significant extent, though if it does do that, this could potentially be a very amazing, disruptive payment system for the whole world, similar to the ones that I would imagine Stellar Lumen might have created. Again, the adoption of Stellar Lumen and Ripple has been very low in my mind compared to what I thought it would have been 2 years ago. So seeing a major tech giant step in and try to connect the dots, to me, is not a bad thing. Again, I don't think that Libra is going to jeopardize Bitcoin's mission. So I personally think Bitcoin is made stronger by this. Over the long term, any currency based on fiat will fail relative to hard assets, Bitcoin, gold, etc. Politicians debase currency as their modus operandi, and thus if Libra maintains fiat backing, it tends towards zero long term. BTC and real cryptos will crush it long term. Libra will expose an entirely new generation to cryptos, and over the long term, Libra will still fail if it's based on the old monetary system, which more or less it is. Short-term government securities and cash are very much so similar in the bucket compared to hard assets like gold and, of course, Bitcoin. Finally, the last point I want to have Eric Voorhees interject before we move back over to the comments by Patrick McHenry is that anything that causes normal people to consider new forms of money apart from their default position of my nation, my currency is a good thing. Libra will crack open further global discussion about what money is, and that sunshine will hurt fiat and help all sound monies, obviously, Bitcoin included. I really love that tweet storm by Eric Voorhees, who's a very staunch Bitcoin proponent, one of the original sort of crypto real figureheads in the space. And I think that his perspective is very valuable. So as we continue on, that's what I wanted to communicate when I say that I am in favor of some of the things that Libra is doing. I know a lot of the community really hates Facebook and hates the idea they're creating a crypto, but I think a more nuanced discussion is needed. And I think that people need to wake up to the idea that even though Facebook is not creating another Bitcoin, they are creating something that could very much so enhance and embolden the Bitcoin network and economy. So let's move on to what Patrick McHenry has to say, which he then moved over to CNBC to explain his points even more. And I think he continues to present a shining example of how cryptocurrencies have really traveled this amazing journey and have won a significant battle to even be being discussed the way they are right now.
The question, though, long term, do you think that regulators and politicians like yourself will allow the emergence and the sort of these new types of currencies if they don't look a lot like the regulations and guardrails that we currently have around fiat currency and money?
Well, I think there's no capacity to kill Bitcoin. Even the Chinese, with their firewall and their extreme intervention in their society, could not kill Bitcoin.
So again, to me, starting off there with a bang, a congressman who doesn't believe Bitcoin can be killed as a sound fact. They're not believing that, oh, what can we do to regulate this? How can we stop it? It is well known now, and it is believed at the highest level of government that Bitcoin is unkillable. It's unstoppable. And to even have that belief understood on a deep level that this asset is uncontrollable, to me, means that Bitcoin has already won almost the entire war. But here we are still fighting a few battles. Let's get back to what he has to say about Facebook and Libra, because I think it's very pertinent. And again, we should just be celebrating this whole discussion, despite all the negativity that's coming out towards cryptocurrencies right now, with the Steve Mnuchin press conference yesterday, and now this discussion on Capitol Hill. People need to realize just how far we've come and how bullish this is for the entire industry.
But let me ask you a question, Congressman. In the United States, for example, you say you can't kill Bitcoin, and to some degree I agree with you, and to some degree I don't. If you said right now that Coinbase cannot accept money from an American citizen, if you said that any of these wallets can't accept money, you would affect. I'm not saying you'd shut down Bitcoin. Bitcoin would exist somewhere, and it would be sort of in a sort of a dark web kind of situation, but it effectively would make it very, very difficult for the mainstream to use it.
Sure, but I mean, how mainstream is that right now? How mainstream is Bitcoin right now?
Well, but that's the question. If it ever gets mainstream, if it ever gets to escape velocity, does Congress, do regulators say, you know what, actually, in the same way that you're looking at Libra as closely as you are, and this is going to happen at the G7 meeting as well, do people say, you know what, we can't have Bitcoin will live in the shadows, but it's not going to live in the mainstream? And that's the question I think I have, and I think it's the question whether that Bitcoin investors have, and that's why the price of it has come down in the past literally 48 hours.
Yeah, so the price has come down to roughly $10,000. I haven't seen what it was trading at this morning.
Just below that.
But you're talking about something that was a joke 10 years ago that people were giving away for free. Not a joke, but people are giving away for free, is now trading at $10,000. You have 21 million coins. We can get into all that. But the essence of Bitcoin is what Libra and Facebook and corporates are trying to mimic. And so what I want to understand is the nature of Libra, the nature of the technology, not just the white paper, not just the idea. And the idea of killing off new iterations of what is mimicking Bitcoin and blockchain technology, you could kill off something that is not a true open distributed ledger, but something that is closed in, that is basically a commodity or a security, depending on how it's going to be traded and utilized. Those are different elements. So
Congressman,
I don't think
I'd like
you
to
can kill
ask you a
Bitcoin.
question
I
on
don't
behalf
think
of
even
investors, okay?
Pardon me?
I want to ask you a question on behalf of investors. I don't care what happens to Bitcoin. It is not an investable item for me because I can't transfer money without being allied in some ways with drug traffickers or whatever it is, and it's not regulated. Here's my problem. I need to move millions of dollars around the world, okay? And there are hundreds of thousands of people like me that are fiduciaries trying to invest for others, okay? I don't have a vehicle that I can do that with without a tremendous amount of friction. I have to pay banks, transfer fees. I get tied up with regulators who don't let me move the money because they're trying to figure out who my customer is, all the rest of that. Your task today, and along with the rest of your colleagues, is to find me a solution for that I can use. I need to move $1 million to London. I need to move $1 million to Mexico, to Canada. It's a nightmare for me to do that right now. You got to fix it. You'd make our economy much more efficient if you could get a Libra-like product that's regulated, that's completely transparent, that lets me move money around the world.
So that's the real issue at play here. It is financial inclusion for those that are on the margins where the transfer of money is exceedingly high. So you have an immigrant who on Friday evenings, judiciously every week, sends money back to his family at where he grew up, wherever in the world. He's paying Western Union 7 to 10% to move that money. That is a very different move. Libra is a very different mover in that space to reduce the cost of those low-dollar remittances. The larger movement of money globally, this could also be a solution to that because it's exceedingly costly. And the SWIFT network that's being broadly used is a very expensive one.
Wow, so much to unpack there. First of all, just the reiteration time and time again by a member of Congress that Bitcoin is unkillable and you can't stop it. And that really it's already at what they call a critical velocity, being traded at $10,000 with 21 million coins. I mean, the math on that is already obscenely high. And so once you understand that this is already so huge and it has not gone mainstream, which is why we're here making videos about it. If it was already mainstream and everyone knew about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, there would be no need for FUD TV. I don't believe it would be serving the same purpose to educate and to bring new people into the space. However, beyond that, there's also a need for something like what Kevin O'Leary was talking about, because to be honest, although Bitcoin is a great way to transfer money internationally, there are a lot of people who don't want to use an unstable transfer mechanism. I believe Bitcoin becomes an amazing medium of exchange in the future as its price stabilizes, but that could be 5, 10, 15, even 20 years away, at which time Bitcoin's price is relatively stable, and you can know with pretty significant certainty that within the span of a day, the amount of money you're going to send is not going to change so dramatically that it would almost invalidate in some ways the medium of exchange argument. That said, I also believe that this is incredibly bullish for Bitcoin, everything that's happening right now. And never mind everything Kevin O'Leary said about drug trafficking and all that stuff. That's just these age-old arguments that are extremely thinly veiled and don't hold up at all against the dollar argument, which of course is the primary vehicle for any kind of illicit activities, as we've seen with JP Morgan trafficking in a billion or 1 million tons of cocaine, something insane like that. I don't really know what the exact number was, but US dollar is the foremost vehicle for illicit activity and crime. So the fact that Bitcoin has been used for the dark web is to me the most thinly veiled argument against it. That's really not ever going to stop its overall growth into the mainstream. And just imagine where Bitcoin is going to be trading once it does become mainstream, once everybody does understand how to manage, buy it, trade it. It's very much so commonly understood, like, a stock, a Facebook stock. I think it's very much so exciting times. Furthermore, we also see the differentiation there, the need for remittances, which is why coins like Ripple and Stellar have been so compelling. Of course, if Libra comes through and delivers on their goals of creating this payment system, I think that it would possibly spell out not disaster, but certainly staunch competition for Stellar and Ripple, who have been trying to create that global remittances ecosystem that I think Facebook very much so might fulfill with their ability to transfer Libras anywhere in the world with no friction. So I think there's been a lot to unpack here. For me, it's beyond bullish that we have members of Congress hailing not only the decentralized benefits of cryptocurrencies, not only the need for cryptocurrencies, we also have the IMF coming out today saying that essentially cryptocurrencies and new forms of e-money will significantly shake the foundation of traditional financial systems and will come to replace them over the long term. The only drawback is their volatility. That volatility is really mitigated by stablecoins. And I know that people don't quite understand or believe in stablecoins. A lot of people came to cryptocurrency to make investments and grow their portfolios. That's okay. Stablecoins and cryptocurrencies can very much so coexist. Bitcoin and stablecoins have coexisted in harmony, in my opinion, for years now. And over the long term, I think that they are an integral aspect of the ecosystem. And that as we move forward, stablecoins will only bolster and help really propel forward Bitcoin on its path to becoming the world's most trusted, most scarce reserve international asset. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please throw me a like. And if you're not already subscribed to FUD TV, hit that sub button. We make videos all the time about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, the markets. So please leave me a like and leave a comment in the comment section below. Anyway, that's all from me. I'm Elio Trades. You're watching FUD TV, and I'll see you very, very soon on the next episode.